He had nothing. No car, no bank account, no phone, no apartment. Just a worn backpack, a few books, and a decision that most people would call insane. But 5 years later, he was the most financially free person in the room. And the crazy part? He never changed his lifestyle. Not even a little. Stay with me, because this story is about to flip everything you think you know about money, success, and what it actually means to be rich. If you're new here and you like stories that actually make you think, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now and tap the bell so you never miss one. We drop these every week, and trust me, you don't want to be the person who finds this channel 2 years late and has to binge everything in one night. Although honestly, people do that, and I get it. So hit subscribe and let's get into it. His name was Marcus, not a guru, not a monk in the religious sense, though people started calling him that because of the way he lived. He grew up in a regular town in Ohio, middle-class family. Dad worked at a factory, mom did bookkeeping from home. They weren't rich, but they weren't struggling either. They were comfortable. And comfortable, Marcus would later say, was the most dangerous place a person could ever be. He went to college, got a business degree, landed a job in finance in Chicago before he was 23. By 26, he had a nice apartment in Lincoln Park, a leased BMW, a closet full of dress shirts, and a growing credit card balance that he never looked at directly. Not because he couldn't pay it, because looking at it made his chest tight. And tight chests, he told himself, were just part of being ambitious. He was doing everything right. He was following the script, the one they hand you at graduation, and everyone around you just nods and agrees is the correct path. Good job, nice place, new car, upgrade your phone every year, get the better gym membership, eat out more because you earned it, take on a little debt now because you'll make more later, trust the process, keep climbing, stay comfortable. And then, one Tuesday morning in February, Marcus was sitting in a meeting at work. Someone was presenting a slide deck about quarterly projections, and Marcus looked around the room, really looked. His boss was 54 years old and looked 70. The senior partner across the table had been with the firm for 20 years and seemed genuinely angry at everything, all the time, for no specific reason. His colleague next to him, a smart and talented woman who could have done anything, was quietly checking her phone under the table with the expression of someone waiting for a prison sentence to end. And Marcus thought, is this it? Is this what winning looks like? Because if this is winning, what does losing feel like? He didn't quit that day, but something cracked open inside him. A question got in, and once a real question gets in, it doesn't leave, it just gets louder. He started reading, not productivity books or finance hacks, philosophy, Stoics, Thoreau, old letters from people who had lived unusual lives and seemed, despite having very little by modern standards, genuinely at peace. He read about a monk in Japan who owned 12 possessions and reported some of the highest levels of life satisfaction ever measured. He read about a former Wall Street trader who walked away from a 7-figure salary to grow vegetables in Vermont and hadn't regretted a single day. And Marcus started asking a dangerous question. What if the thing I've been chasing is the thing that's keeping me trapped? Now, here's where most people would read those books, nod, feel inspired for a week, and then go back to refreshing their emails. But Marcus didn't do that, and this is the first thing that makes his story different. He didn't just think about changing. He made a decision, a real one, the kind that costs you something. He gave himself 90 days. During those 90 days, he was going to run a personal experiment. He called it his poverty test, which is honestly a terrible name, but also kind of perfect. He wanted to find out what he actually needed to live well, not survive, live well, with genuine enjoyment, real peace, and zero anxiety. And he was going to strip everything back until he found the floor, the actual floor, not the imaginary one his lifestyle had been building on top of. He moved out of his apartment and into a room he rented from a retired teacher for $300 a month. He returned the BMW and took the bus. He canceled every subscription except one, a library card, which is free. He stopped buying lunch out and started cooking everything himself. He set a weekly spending limit of $40 for food.
He kept 2 pairs of shoes, 7 basic shirts, 2 pairs of pants, 1 jacket. Everything else went to a donation center, and he started writing down every single thought, every craving, every moment of discomfort, every moment of unexpected peace. The first 2 weeks were genuinely hard. Not because he was cold or hungry, he wasn't. The room was warm, the food was fine, but the noise in his head was deafening. He'd reach for his phone to check something and remember he'd downgraded to a basic model with no apps. He'd think about ordering food and then remember he wasn't doing that. He'd feel a pull toward a new jacket he saw in a window and then just stand there, watching the feeling rise and then fall, like a wave. And that right there was the first thing that changed him. He started to realize that most of his spending had never been about the stuff. It had been about managing discomfort, boredom, loneliness, anxiety, restlessness. He'd been using purchases as an emotional thermostat. Bad day at work? Buy something. Feeling disconnected? Order food and watch something. Feeling behind in life? Upgrade something. The money wasn't flowing toward things he actually wanted. It was flowing toward feelings he was trying to avoid. This became the first of his 3 rules, and I want you to hold on to this one because it's probably the most important thing in this entire video. He called it the discomfort budget. The idea was simple. Before any non-essential purchase, he asked one question. Am I buying this because I want it or because I'm trying to feel better right now? If the answer was the second one, he didn't buy it. Instead, he sat with the discomfort, just for a few minutes, sometimes longer. And almost every single time, within 20 minutes, the urge passed, and he felt something surprising on the other side of it. Clarity, actual clarity, like the static in his brain turned down, and he could suddenly hear himself think. He started sleeping better, his mind felt quieter, he stopped waking up at 2 in the morning running calculations about money he didn't need for things he didn't need. And something else started happening that he hadn't expected at all. His relationships improved, because when you're not constantly managing financial stress in the background of your brain, you have more actual attention to give to actual people. He started calling his parents more, went deeper in conversations with friends, started noticing things he'd been too distracted to see. But here's where the story takes a sharp left turn. Around week 4 of his experiment, Marcus got a call from his firm. There had been a restructuring. His position was being eliminated. He had 60 days of severance and then nothing. And here's what's wild. His first reaction wasn't panic. It wasn't the chest tightening that used to hit him whenever money came up. He sat with the news for a moment, took a breath, and thought, okay. And then he went and made dinner. He told me later, if that call had come 6 months earlier, I would have spiral texted 15 people, stayed up all night, and probably made 3 bad decisions out of fear before breakfast. But in that moment, I realized my actual monthly expenses were under $800. I had 6 months of savings that could now last 2 years. I had skills that were genuinely rare, and I had 0 debt because I'd been paying it down aggressively for the last month. Losing my job was a crisis in the old version of my life. In the new one, it was just a Tuesday. That realization was the second rule. He called it the true cost of safety. The idea was this. Most people work jobs they don't love, in cities they didn't choose, with lifestyles they built to impress people they don't particularly like, in order to feel secure. But the security is an illusion, because if your entire sense of safety depends on one income stream and a lifestyle that requires that income stream, you're not safe at all. You're just one Tuesday away from a full breakdown. Real security, Marcus came to believe, doesn't come from making more, it comes from needing less. Every dollar you remove from your required monthly expenses is a dollar of actual freedom. Not theoretical freedom, not someday freedom, real freedom, right now. And this is where I need you to pause for a second and actually sit with that, because we've been sold the opposite idea our entire lives. More income equals more security, better job equals more freedom, bigger salary equals more options. And while income obviously matters, the obsessive focus on making more while completely ignoring the needing less side of the equation is exactly how people end up making $200,000 a year and still feeling broke, stressed, and trapped. which a lot of people are, a lot more than they'll admit. Marcus spent the next 3 months doing something unusual with his newfound time. Instead of immediately finding a new job, he went deeper into the experiment. He started a small consulting project for a former colleague, working about 15 hours a week from a coffee shop, making enough to cover his lean expenses with a little left over. And with the rest of his time, he did something he hadn't done since he was a kid. He started building things for no reason, just to see if he could do. He taught himself basic carpentry from library books. He started writing, not for an audience, just for himself. He learned to cook properly. He started running in the mornings and reading in the evenings, and his life developed a rhythm that felt completely foreign, and also somehow like something he'd always been looking for without knowing what it was. He told me he felt like someone who had been eating nothing but fast food for 6 years and then suddenly ate a real meal, and the shock of it was just how good